What in the world is going on? You are embarrassing yourself left and right, but time and time again, I constantly give credit for their ability to stick to the narrative, even as every single thing flies directly in the face of reality. What is up? My name is Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back. This, of course, is the epicenter for all of your current and captivating coastal elite chaos. So please hit that subscribe button, like the video, ring the notification bell, leave a comment or two, share this with a friend. Let's go. All right, we have to power through the first few stories. I think I'm going to call this the lightning round or the speed round. I just made it up right now. Never been done before. All me. But The Atlantic recently ran a story saying Republicans are no longer a political party. They've become yet another subsidiary of Trump Inc. And yes, correct. Congrats. You cracked the code. Democrats have become completely unhinged. Nobody likes the old guard, warmongering Republicans constantly sending loads of our money clear across the world to places that most Americans have never been and probably cannot point out on a map. So yeah, people are hopping on the Trump train. Politico ran a story saying pregnant women are avoiding care in fear of Florida's immigration crackdown. And I think what they mean to say is that these illegals can't just drop anchor babies all over the place. You should probably take that to New York and go hang out at the Row Hotel, which has become a crime-ridden baby mill. Then Forbes ran a story telling us that the popular Bums and Drones account had been removed from YouTube and TikTok. It was still on Instagram and Facebook. Click the link in bio for more. So, of course, I did. And there they were bragging that it had also been removed from Instagram and Facebook. Then there's a story of a former Facebook or Meta engineer who eliminated his two 4-year-old twins, his wife, and himself at their $2 million California home. Not quite sure why that's not getting more attention. Then, of course, there's Big Fat Fanny Pack Willis, and that trial has become a complete and total circus. It is just a picture perfect example. I mean, chef's kiss of all of the witch hunts coming after Donald Trump. All right, here we are in New York from thecity.nyc. Subway surfers take unsafe sex to the next level. And what they don't mention here is that 2 men were caught being intimate on top of a train, right? So we've had loads of stories of subway surfing in New York, injuries, deaths. I even know a guy or friend of a friend who had his leg mangled trying to subway surf while he was drunk. A little bit of a different story. There was also at least 2 incidents of people losing their lives, young people, I suppose, losing their lives trying to subway surf on the BART train out in California. And what is happening, right? You guys just can't wait. I even saw one time many years ago 2 guys doing something unspeakable on a subway platform bench, and it's like, just wait until you get home. This is just a show of force. You want the attention, you want the press, you're high on crack, you're high on poppers. What is happening? And here's one almost as insane as 2 dudes getting it on top of a train, but from Black Enterprise. Donald Glover says misogynoir criticism hurts but doesn't matter. Donald Glover is, quote, hurt by those who think he has a disdain for black women, but the criticism also doesn't matter to him. So I don't know if it's Donald Glover himself or the media. Those seem to be 2 contradictory things. Does it hurt or does it not matter at all? And of course, the elephant in the room here is that misogynoir is not real. I mean, misogyny is barely real, but they have making this one. They have made this word misogynoir specific for black women, and this stems from more than a decade ago when Donald Glover was coming up as a rapper and he made a joke on a song about how he likes Asian girls and he may or may not be married to a white woman or an Asian woman. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Misogynoir is not real. People are mad at him. The mainstream media, I guess, have had enough of Donald Glover because he didn't choose to marry the person you wanted him to. And I guess in a little bit more relationship news from Reuters, Tinder, other match dating apps encourage compulsive use, lawsuit claims. So now the dating apps are getting sued, right? We just saw Eric Adams of New York City, who was suing the social media companies because they never want to take responsibility for anything. They're always going to point the finger, never the thumb. But you also have these Apple goggles, right? I mean, are you going to sue them? That could be really dark. It seems like people are kind of rejecting it. But what about Apple itself? Are you going to sue them, the company that arguably makes all of this possible, right? It's kind of like when they got mad at Kyrie Irving for tweeting about how he liked a movie, but they weren't mad at the person who created the movie or the platform that the movie was available on. And I don't really know what's going on. I mean, the Kyrie Irving thing, we know that wasn't really about the movie. That was about his refusal to take the forced pharmaceutical. But they don't ever want to take responsibility for anything. It's also kind of like how just the other day I talked about a story of a 8th grader or something, I think, who was bullied. The headline said, "Oh, girl was bullied." But then the real story was that she got expelled because she flew off the handle and beat somebody up for apparently making monkey noises at her. That's a little bit different story, but this is just another grain of sand that makes a heap, right? Like, no matter how bad the crime gets in Oakland or New York, they're always going to find a way to blame it on the cops and maybe pay out the protesters. It never stops. I mean, what next? This is like an old Cops episode where a woman will call the police because her dope dealer shorted her or something. Like, get it together. From Marjorie Taylor Greene here, she brings up a pretty good point. This is a long diatribe tweet. I don't know, however many years ago, went from 200 characters to write as much as you want. So without reading all of this, she says, "I watched this week's episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it was a glaring reminder of why most Georgians resent Republicans in our state for inviting the nasty commies of California, the Hollywood elites, into our state by dishing out Hollywood tax credits." I'm a huge Larry David fan. He's right up there with Kanye West and Little Dragon, which is a deeper cut. Also Jerry Seinfeld himself. But she brings up a good point that Curb Your Enthusiasm has been in Atlanta recently. So we're now at the point where even the libtard left, and shout out Larry David. I can't say enough how funny he was. He probably should have quit while he was ahead, but different story, and I digress. He is now leaving his home base because he even hates the chaos that he's helped create and perpetuate. So now he has gone to Georgia to make fun of the common sense people that push back on the insanity of where he came from. Why are you going to Georgia, Larry? If you love California so much, you should stay there. So, along with crime and the cost of living and climate catastrophe, climate crisis, oh my word, along with all of that insanity, this is another reason why people are fleeing California. They're pretending they still like it, but they're leaving to go film their show in Georgia. But California teacher who blasted woke kindergarten placed on leave, bitter paid vacation. So, I mean, you do not get a say. A teacher who I assume probably agreed with almost everything, but he missed this one, and they just can't have that. So we probably said, all right, maybe we shouldn't do this, and they said, nope, he's out of here. Now, I guess it's not so bad. He's basically on a paid vacation, so a win-win for him, I suppose. And, you know, he gets to expose a little bit more of the hypocrisy, and it's just another piece chipped away from the machine. They keep pushing people away, right? I mean, how does the saying go? you land more bees with honey than vinegar or something. I don't know. I'm sure I completely butchered that. But my point is, they keep pushing people away and claiming that the people who left are crazy, but we all know exactly what's happening, and the facade continues to crumble. All right, switching gears here just a tiny bit. I recently reposted this screenshot of a tweet by Philip Anderson onto my Instagram account. Now, I should probably be a little bit more active on Twitter, but that aside, I just thought it was funny, right? You can agree, you can disagree, quite obviously, but Philip Anderson replies to this weirdo politician who says, very, very few people stood at the Super Bowl for Lift Every Voice and Sing, the Negro national anthem. Not a pretty picture of Super Bowl crowd, which I guess that's just weird virtue signaling. I mean, most people I don't think would have cared. You did this because of George Floyd or whatever, some weirdo propaganda, nonstop narrative push. But Philip Anderson replied to him, you burn down our country and then tell us to stand for a Negro national anthem because a nigga overdosed on fentanyl. Get out of here with all that BS. We stand for all Americans united when we stand for the national anthem. I stand for every nigga with a sense of decency when I stand for the flag. And I don't know. I think it's kind of funny. I think we need this. I think we need to make people uncomfortable. And of course, I'm sure Steve Cohen got really uncomfortable. And adding a little context here, so to speak. And I've talked about this guy, Dogtown Dro, before. But just so we're clear, I know Philip Anderson from back in the... It's good to see him back on social media, by the way. But all the way back in 2020, maybe even 2019, he was pretty big on social media, and he was organizing free speech rallies and supporting Orange Man bad, and he reached out to me to speak at a free speech rally because he knew I was from the Bay Area, even though I was living in New York at the time. Now, I didn't go to the rally because I got into this group chat and it was all this back and forth, these people, like this infighting was crazy. But that's a different thing. Now, this man, Dogtown Dro, who I have mentioned before because he got angry when some graffiti writers tagged over a Pan-African flag or something because he thought that the graffiti writers were hugely racist. I mean, the man is just out of his mind. But this story is from all the way back in October 2020. BLM activist accused of punching organizer of free speech rally. So, not only is this guy so, pro blackity black, all of that stuff, but he punches Philip Anderson, who is black in the face, which shows us all very clearly. I mean, the hypocrisy is nonstop. But it lets us know that this is not about race. They want you to think it's about race, but it is, to their credit, about the content of their character. So this weirdo, creepy activist dude who's constantly harassing people and talking about racism, and I want to take a look at some of those clips in just a little bit. But the reason I found out about him is because Philip reached out to me to speak at the free speech rally, which I didn't go to because it seemed unorganized, and then this man punched Philip's teeth out at the rally, so I'm pretty glad I didn't go. But why was he so angry, right? I mean, it was a black man, right? You're constantly telling us that it's all about black and brown lives, indigenous people, and he speaks with this weird lisp too. So this is just a little taste of what this guy does.
You know what time it is, Blaze? This is where I press white gentrifiers about whether they're gonna maintain and uphold white supremacy and or advocate for the rights and liberties and liberation of black and brown people.
But he obviously doesn't mean that. So he's just harassing a couple of dog walkers. Are you going to stand up for black and brown rights? But it's obviously not, because you punched a black man in the face. And I'm saying all this simply because it's good to see Philip Anderson back on social media, and I reposted what I thought was a funny tweet from him. Not a big deal, but it got me thinking about this guy. He's like, are you going to uphold white supremacy? Bro, it's just a couple of dog walkers on the hill. What are you talking about?
So you guys won't say free Palestine, right? We can't get a free Palestine out, y'all? So white people, y'all come to our city. Y'all come to the Lonely Land and you still will just continue to practice your privilege without any advocacy. Go ahead. What do you want to say? I'll stop talking. Yeah.
She says, have a beautiful day. And there is no better picture of a weirdo bully. Okay, one more if you needed a little bit more proof that it is quite obviously not about race. It is about, complete communism takeover. But he says, no black man should ever employ, I think there's a typo there, but violence or degradation in defense of white-owned capital. And here he is now harassing a black man, a security guard, which the Bay Area, and if you didn't know, if I didn't mention it, Dogtown is from the Bay Area, and he punched Philip Anderson in San Francisco. So there's no shortage of criminality in the Bay Area, but this man is so off his rocker that he thinks you should be allowed, black people should be allowed to steal. Well, certain black people, not all black people. I mean, there's so many levels to this, but here he is harassing a black security guard.
Get a job. Get a job. I want to work. I love that job. It's not that hard to get a job. It's not that hard to get a job.
Hey, bro.
It's not that hard.
So that security guard, I suppose, caught a woman stealing and stopped her. And he steps in to tell him that's not right.
Hey, folks.
What's up,
hey, you going really hard about some property that
What's up, family? Check this out, brother. I've been homeless. I had nothing.
Okay, but
you know what I mean? I've been through it all, brother. You know what I mean? I had my fair share. You know what I mean? So I'm tired of people making excuses why they can't pull themselves up.
Oh, conservative rhetoric. So man with a job protecting a store that everybody needs to use, and then when it closes, they're going to cry and call that racist. I mean, there's just so many levels to this, but he drops the conservative rhetoric on there because a security guard is telling you to stop stealing and that he had a hard time and that now he's happy, he has a job, and he hopes you can do it too. But that's just a bridge too far.
I've been through it all. I slept on the street.
Who is this right now, though, bro?
Because we didn't have this conversation, but this a white man owns all of this. And we are black men.
Okay.
Beat, like, threatening to beat this woman up.
I ain't trying to beat her up.
I heard you, bro.
What are you talking about? I said pepper spray. What are you talking about?
Look, it goes on like that for a couple more minutes. And there's dozens of videos like this on his page, mixed in between him trying to freestyle with a lisp. It's all really weird. And this from The Hollywood Reporter. I think we all know that The Daily Show was trotting out Jon Stewart, kind of like how Bo Jiden is trotting out Bill Clinton. Not quite sure why he didn't put Hillary Clinton on the case, and Barack Obama, because he is quite clearly not up to the task. But The Daily Show brought back Jon Stewart to restore a little bit of sanity, and he went too far. He had jokes about both sides, and they just can't have that. I'm not exactly sure why they wouldn't at least want to get a taste of what's going on outside of the bubble, but they got so angry. They say Jon Stewart draws liberal anger for criticizing Biden. I mean, these are the same people that are constantly calling Trump supporters cultists, right? Like, what am I missing here? It goes on. Some Democrats aren't happy with the Daily Show host's critique of the president's age-related issues, and even the White House is weighing in. So, I mean, everybody sees it, right? Do you think that if Jon Stewart goes on there and just says, beep, boop, orange man bad like everybody else, then that's going to eliminate all of the flaws with Joe Biden? We all know it doesn't matter at this point in time, but they're just so enthralled, so brainwashed, it's just through the roof. And as a little bit of an aside here, the whole Jon Stewart thing, The Daily Show, sort of reminded me of Jordan Klepper, who I guess was on and off the show, but obviously he's not funny, so they can't keep him, they can't hire him. But this reminded me of several years ago. Now, this clip here is actually fairly recent, but this reminded me of several years ago, early in the Trump campaign, I believe, 2015, maybe 2016, but this man, Jordan Klepper, who I guess is a comedian, is one of the early forays for me into realizing how bad the entire media landscape had become. So, I mean, imagine that. Imagine being so bad that you were one of the first people to make it crystal clear that the media, that the comedians weren't even attempting to do comedy anymore. I mean, he is the epitome of this smug weirdo lefty who cannot answer any questions. He just says things like, "Oh, you're a Trump supporter? You're so..." He doesn't call them stupid, but it's like he just does this smug libtard thing where he asks these questions. There's no punchlines, there's no jokes, and then he counts on his editor, his cameraman, or whatever to, edit in something funny to make the Trump supporter look like a crazy person. So this is a recent one, but you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here. And he's been doing this clearly for years and still hasn't landed the job as host of The Daily Show because he's not funny.
I've loved everything that he has implemented in the past, so I love if we could put that back into office to keep that going.
Like what stuff?
I like the border control.
Yeah,
that's a big point.
We should be working to fix what's happening at the border.
Yeah.
Feels like Congress is just sitting on their hands right now doing nothing.
Yes.
They brought up a bill to do something, and Trump said, no freaking way.
Yeah, so there he goes. It's just ridiculous. He got the memo that Republicans are responsible for the border, even though it's been wide open for years and there's millions of people pouring in. But Republicans, Democrats in Congress drew up a bill, but the Republicans didn't want to do it. He obviously got the memo, and he knows he's not funny, so he just has to take the marching orders. He's completely soulless. He's dead behind the eyes. He has nothing to say, and he will do whatever it is they tell him to do. And for the record, how could I forget? If we're going to play this game of Trump supporters are so stupid, let's get into a little whataboutism. Do you think there's any shortage of footage of brainwashed lefties getting stumped, putting their foot in their mouth, which is constantly why they're told not to talk, but some of them are so dumb they do it anyway and then get mad at you for documenting it?
I'm triggered.
More media TDS lapdog puppets. This is a clip of Bakari Sellers trying to make the point that Donald Trump is really dangerous. And there's no shortage of clips like this, but it's just like, bro, you're completely despicable, right? This is one of these weirdo race baiters, but he's completely memory hole blacked out the one most damning statement ever made by Joe Biden, which has yet to come back and bite him.
Bakari, if this campaign becomes Trump versus Biden, and if it devolves into something like old versus dangerous, if Democrats say Donald Trump is dangerous, Republicans say Joe Biden is old, is that a race that Democrats would be confident about?
Man, that was the weakest if I've ever heard you use, John. There's no need for the words if. This is Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, point blank, period. So, yes, I think Democrats, we are proverbial bedwetters, right? So anytime somebody says something harsh about the president, or he mistakes the president of Egypt for representing Mexico, we just wring our hands. We go clutch our pearls. We just go absolutely nuts. Look, our candidate is the president of the United States. He's old. He's 80. But this 80-year-old man has accomplished more than any other grandfather in the history of the United States of America.
He just made that this 80-year-old man has accomplished more than any other grandfather in the history of the United States. You just made that up, bro. He knows who butters his bread.
America. Like, he's actually performed the task well. He's gotten bipartisan legislation through, and the alternative is someone who's dangerous. Let's embrace what it is. I don't know why the White House is
dangerous. What does that mean? Dangerous? I guess dangerous to you, dangerous to the CNN talking heads, but still, quite obviously, still not dangerous to anybody, right? You guys are gonna have more content than ever before if Trump gets back in office. So this Joe Biden is old, but he's still really good.
This is your man.
Yes.
Look at the screen.
That's mine. And
that's what you're going to settle for.
I'm gonna stick beside him.
And Trump is dangerous, and that's why that's why it's nonstop lawfare, and we have big fat Fanny Pack Willis trying to throw him in jail, even though that completely backfired on her. And what was once a case about Donald Trump has completely boomeranged directly, and it's all about her. But that's a different story. And here's one more from Tiffany Cross, who I believe was even too extreme for MSNBC, which is saying a lot, but somehow they're still able to go to bat for the establishment. So these weirdo race baiters call everything racist except for Bo Biden and Gavin Newsom. He's very strapping and handsome and brave and beautiful. So, like I said, it's very clear that it's not actually about race. It never has been. And to their credit, you think they'd play this up a little bit more, but it is about the content of their character. It's just that they're all completely corrupt, so they can't actually say that.
I gotta just be honest, I'm exhausted with talking about Trump. I know he's the front runner of the Republican Party and we have to talk about it. But honestly, one thing, Andrew, that frustrates me is people talk about Biden.
And she's talking to Andrew Gillum, right? We remember him, that Ron DeSantis narrowly won over him for the governorship in Florida, and then, was all over the place that this man was doing weird dope with gay prostitutes in Florida and puking bodily fluids all over the place. That was disgusting. Different story.
Age and compare it like Trump is not the existential threat, not just to America, but the globe. So
Trump is an existential threat. This is what's left, is that Trump is dangerous. Trump is an existential threat. But I mean, it's literally weekend at Biden's out there. They're thinking that we can't see it, but we all see it. So all they have now is complete and total lying, gaslighting, that, and Trump won't let you kill your baby. So we just saw Tiffany Cross and Bakari Sellers, and they're all blackety black, except Joe Biden is amazing. But anyways, now we're in the hip hop realm, and Pharrell Williams has become creative director of Louis Vuitton or something like that. And this pair of Louis Vuitton Timberlands is going to cost $75,000. Now, they say it's only 50 pairs available, which is totally understandable. But, bro, who is this really for? Right? I mean, it's a smack in the face to the American people, or I don't know, maybe it's for French people. I don't know what the hell's going on over there. I'm sure they're not doing that great, at least in Paris. But this is for a couple of your buddies? I mean, who is this really for, bro? $75,000 for leather boots? I mean, even if you take all of the richest people in Manhattan, they probably still can't really, actually afford this stuff, right? What's the old saying? Oh, you have to have 3 times as much money to afford an expensive thing. I don't know. I don't have enough money to afford any of that stuff. But what are you doing? And this, of course, is in direct contradiction to our good buddy Kanye West, who had the absolutely hilarious regional Super Bowl commercial, and everything on the website is now just $20. So Pharrell Williams takes his wealth and fame and money. He hasn't made a good song. Happy was the beginning of the end for him. Meanwhile, Ye has dropped another absolute classic, a banger, 11th studio album, completely independent, Vultures. But so Pharrell is up on his high horse of leather bags, millionaire bags, and $75,000 boots. And Kanye is dropping independent projects that are still good, hasn't sold his soul, not dressing up like a woman, but selling everything for $20, while Pharrell is trying to get you to buy a $75,000 pair of boots. All right, last one. Democrats launch hip-hop task force to harness the power of culture. But why? And I think this whole thing has been led by, Jamal Fire Alarm Bowman himself, I guess to distract from all of the corruption going on across the political spectrum, but quite clearly the Democrats are just scraping the bottom of the barrel, to put it nicely. But why are they doing this? It's completely pathetic. We as a nation clearly have plenty of problems. Democrats have more. Rappers are ditching Democrats left and right, whether it's Meek Mill, Benny the Butcher, Sexy Red, Killer Mike. I mean, left and right, it's nonstop, because quite clearly they can't take their foot off the gas. I guess they're too dug in. It's their pride. It's just pure evil. They're on the hook to the HRC or the Open Society Foundation. I don't know exactly what's happening, but it doesn't make sense. It's far past the point of incompetence, or we're going to help people. They're actively destroying things, but I'm getting off track here. Why are they doing this, right? I mean, do you think this is going to help? It's kind of like when the government or when, state governments legalized weed, I mean, everybody was better off without you. You put your dirty, sticky fingers all over everything. Just leave people alone. They don't want it. So you do a little bit more pandering with a hip-hop task force and think that people are going to come crawling back onto the Democrat plantation. It's completely pathetic. And I'm sure, I can almost be certain, that the biggest name in hip-hop and fashion, for that matter, will not be on board with this weirdo race-baiting coalition disguised as hip-hop. I mean, what in the world is going on? You are embarrassing yourself left and right. But time and time again, I constantly give credit for their ability to stick to the narrative, even as every single thing flies directly in the face of reality. So while it's all collapsing, I'm still watching. I'm going down with the ship, unlike Larry David leaving California going to film in Georgia. But all that aside, here's a funny clip.
Your new studio is like an alien spaceship. Like aliens figure this out or something.
But hold please. But hold please. You're drunk.
Yeah. Joe, what I want to do is talk to you right now. I want to just say, I love you. Look. I need you. Let me break down.
Are you okay?
Let me just tell you.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm biologically a girl.
No, is that true?
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
Well, how do we know?
Joe, I swear to God, I want to have sex with you.
I think you should settle down.
There's nothing I want to do more than that.
Let's not go down that road.
So sexy. This is when it gets good.
That seems crazy.
I want to give you the big enchilada. My big enchilada.
Don't give me one of those. You keep that shit away from me, motherfucker.
No. Let's go right now.
No.
I'll get on my knees right now.
Stop. You blew me.
I'm really good at it.
He's great.
Oh, my God.
What's the goal?
Gay orgy.
This is my version of a Make-A-Wish kid going to Disney World.
I mean, it's a big gay hookup deal.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, I can't.
Just have some.
No, I can't.
Fucking S.
Okay, hold on. Settle down.
All right.
Okay.
Now I'm pissed.
I cannot.
Give up your body or I will kill everybody.
You're going up against forces that are way too powerful. You don't even know what you're knocking on here.
Joe, I'm true Illuminati.
If you go against these people, you find you're dead.
This is why you get banned from the internet.
Shut up, I'll kill you.
There's a lot of issues.
Shut up, this is a very important ritual. Joe, I'm gonna tear you up. You're gonna get hammered. I'm in charge, bend over.
I'm getting hammered.
Yeah!